They came upon the sawhorse standing motionless beside the garden gate, but when Dorothy was introduced to him, he bowed politely and blinked his eyes, which were knots of wood, and wagged his tail, which was only the branch of a tree. "What a remarkable thing to be alive!" exclaimed Dorothy. "I quite agree with you," replied the sawhorse, in a rough but not unpleasant voice. "A creature like me has no business to live, as we all know, but it was the magic powder that did it, so I cannot justly be blamed." "Of course not," said Dorothy, "and you seem to be of some use, 'cause I noticed the scarecrow riding upon your back." "Oh, yes, I'm of use," returned the sawhorse, "and I never tire, never have to be fed or cared for in any way." "Are you intelligent?" asked the girl. "Not very," said the creature. "It would be foolish to waste intelligence on a common sawhorse, when so many professors need it. But I know enough to obey my master and to get up, or whoa, when I'm told to. So I'm pretty well satisfied." That night, Dorothy slept in a pleasant little bedchamber, next to that occupied by Ozma of Oz, and Billina perched upon the foot of the bed and tucked her head under her wing and slept as soundly in that position as did Dorothy upon her soft cushions. But before daybreak everyone was awake and stirring, and soon the adventurers were eating a hasty breakfast in the great dining room of the palace. Ozma sat at the head of a long table on a raised platform, with Dorothy on her right hand and the Scarecrow on her left. The Scarecrow did not eat, of course, but Ozma placed him near her so that she might ask his advice about the journey while she ate. Lower down the table were the 27 warriors of Oz, and at the end of the room the lion and the tiger were eating out of a kettle that had been placed upon the floor, while Billina fluttered around to pick up any scraps that might be scattered. It did not take long to finish the meal, and then the lion and tiger were harnessed to the chariot, and the party was ready to start for the Nome King's palace. First rode Ozma, with Dorothy beside her in the golden chariot and holding Billina fast in her arms. Then came the Scarecrow on the sawhorse, with the Tin Woodman and Tik-Tok marching side by side just behind him. After these tramped the army, looking brave and handsome in their splendid uniforms. The generals commanded the colonels, and the colonels commanded the majors, and the majors commanded the captains, and the captains commanded the private, who marched with an air of proud importance because it required so many officers to give him his orders. And so the magnificent procession left the palace and started along the road just as day was breaking, and by the time the sun came out, they had made good progress toward the valley that led to the Nome King's domain.